Your phone lies face down on the bedroom nightstand at 1:43 a.m. The room is dark, but the sentence is still lit inside you. You remember the gap before they replied, the period at the end, and the little drop in your chest when the screen changed. The psychology of people who overthink everything starts right there. Not with drama, with uncertainty that refuses to close. When the phrase, "your mind never stops," feels accurate, it is usually not because you love thinking. It is because stopping can feel unsafe. Psychologist Daniel M. Wegner from Harvard University found in 1987 that participants told not to think about a white bear still reported about one white bear thought per minute, and later mentioned it more when the ban was lifted. That is the cruel trap. To block a thought, the brain has to check whether it is still there. The check becomes the loop. So if stopping the thought makes it louder, what exactly is that loop protecting? You stand in a grocery store checkout line with a basket cutting into your wrist. The person ahead of you smiles at the cashier, and you are still stuck on an email from 3 hours ago. You look calm enough to buy oat milk, but inside you are running 3 investigations at once. One investigation is preparation. It builds a cleaner reply before tomorrow's inbox turns into a tiny courtroom. That version can be useful, because real insight eventually hands you a sentence and gets quiet. Another investigation is rumination. It drags the same email through every pause, facial expression, and imagined tone. Then there is threat scanning, where the real question is not what the email means, but whether approval is about to disappear. From the outside, all 3 look like overthinking. Inside, they feel completely different. One solves, one punishes, one scans for danger before anyone admits danger exists. And the hardest part is that all 3 can wear the same expression on your face. You sit at your office desk staring at a Slack message that says, "No worries." The words are harmless, but the period feels like a closed door. Before answering, you rehearse the meeting, the backup plan, and the version where your boss asks what went wrong. That kind of future scanning looks absurd from the outside. You are replying to 2 words, not filing taxes. But inside, anxiety becomes a rehearsal room, because uncertainty feels slightly safer after one mental walkthrough. Psychologist Julie K. Norum from Wellesley College found in 1986 that defensive pessimists completed evaluated tasks at 73% versus 58% for optimists, when they were allowed to mentally prepare for what could go wrong. That matters because not every worst-case thought is a distortion. Sometimes the brain lowers expectations so the possible hit lands softer. It imagines the awkward meeting. It catches one missed detail. It builds the sentence you will use if the moment actually happens. That is why this loop can feel responsible. You type, "All good, I'll send the update by 3," and your shoulders drop. For a second, the rehearsal worked. But preparation has a shadow. The same system that helped you get ready does not always know when the danger has passed. And once the meeting is over, it may keep the lights on in an empty room. You sit in your parked car outside your apartment with both hands still on the steering wheel. The boundary conversation already happened. Still, the exact moment their face changed keeps replaying behind your eyes. You invent one better sentence, then another, and every version makes you feel more guilty. At first, replay looks like repair. You test tone, timing, and one cleaner phrase. Problem solving gives you an option. Rumination changes the charge. Psychologist Sonia Lubomirsky from the University of California, Riverside, found in 1995 that after an 8-minute rumination induction, dysphoric participants generated more negative interpretations and less effective interpersonal problem-solving than dysphoric participants assigned to distraction. 8 minutes is a coffee line. Yet the same scene became darker and harder to solve. Reflection asks what happened. Rumination asks again after the answer appears. That difference can be tiny on the surface and massive in the body. Their changed face becomes proof. Your boundary becomes cruelty. The quiet car becomes a courtroom, because guilt has started impersonating responsibility. This is where many people misread themselves. The problem is not that you care too much. It is that caring gets pulled into cross-examination. When thinking stops producing options and starts producing verdicts, the loop has quietly changed jobs. You are at a friend's birthday dinner when the group chat buzzes under the table. Someone replies, "Fine," without the usual emoji. Your attention leaves the room before dessert arrives. You keep nodding at the conversation while that one word gets scanned like smoke under a door. The strange part is not that you noticed it. It is how fast the room became background. Cake, jokes, separate checks, all of it gets quieter because one social signal starts looking like weather. Psychologist Colin MacLeod from the University of Western Australia found in 1986 that in a dot probe task with 16 generalized anxiety patients and 16 controls, anxious patients detected probes faster when those probes replaced threat words, while controls did not show the same threat word bias. Not because they chose fear. Their attention moved first. That is, the smoke detector before reasoning arrives. The missing emoji gets priority before the question, "Did anything actually happen?" even gets a turn. From the outside, it looks like overthinking. From the inside, it feels like catching something early. This is where intuition gets messy. Attention can be fast and still be biased. At the table, you laugh, pass the check, and still feel that word glowing in the corner of awareness. The scary part is not the word fine. It is how quickly ambiguity can steal the room. You stand in the condiment aisle at Target holding 2 jars of jam like they are evidence. One strawberry label looks familiar, the other looks artisanal. By the time you choose, you trust the choice less than when you first reached for the shelf. More reasons can feel like more truth. Sometimes they help. But sometimes explanation becomes a costume certainty wears when it does not actually have proof. Psychologist Timothy D. Wilson from the University of Virginia found in 1991 that students in the jam ranking experiment who analyzed their reasons had preferences that correlated 0.11 with expert ratings, compared with 0.55 for students who did not analyze their reasons. That split is not anti-thinking. It is a warning about the wrong kind of analysis. The brain can invent mature-sounding reasons while moving you farther from the signal you already had. After a date, reflection notices, "I felt tense," and gives you one usable sentence. Protective checking cross-examines every pause until certainty starts pretending to be safety. This is the part most overthinking videos miss. Insight has an endpoint. Protection keeps checking the lock. So the question is not whether thinking is good or bad. The question is what the thinking is attempting to buy. And sometimes the price of feeling certain is losing contact with what you knew in the first 5 seconds. You rinse a dinner plate in your apartment kitchen after everyone has gone home. The family comment was small, technically. Still, it keeps replaying from behind your own eyes. For 1 second, you picture the scene from the ceiling corner, and the room looks less like a trial and more like a map. That shift matters. Not because the comment suddenly becomes harmless, because the camera angle changes what your body treats as evidence. Psychologist Ethan Cross from the University of Michigan found in 2008 that participants in the self-distancing experiment who analyzed an anger memory from a fly-on-the-wall perspective produced fewer recounting statements and lower emotional reactivity than participants who replayed it in first person. Same memory, different camera, different nervous system response. From inside the scene, every facial movement feels personal. From above, you can see the table, the old family script, the tired voice, the fact that 3 other people were carrying their own weather. The comment stops wearing only your face. So the private question becomes sharper. When you replay a conversation, are you learning something new, or are you standing in the same emotional spot again? Are you watching the scene, or are you trapped inside the version where you are always on trial? You are not overthinking everything. You are trying to make uncertainty measurable. But the body usually knows the difference between a replay that clarifies and a replay that tightens your jaw. That difference is quiet, and it may be the most honest signal in the whole loop. You watch your reflection in the dark window of the morning train. Your headphones are in. Your coffee is cooling. Yesterday is already being sorted into evidence and meaning. For a moment, the motion does not look like madness. It looks like a searchlight moving across fog. A reply, a tone, a silence, a face at the wrong angle. All of it becomes something to measure before it can hurt. You are not broken by too much thinking. You are a nervous system trying to measure fog. That does not make every thought true. It means the loop once learned that uncertainty had teeth. Now it keeps touching the bruise, hoping the shape of the pain will explain what comes next. Maybe the real question is not, why do I think so much? Maybe it is, when did not knowing start feeling dangerous? Because the answer may be sitting somewhere older than the thought you are replaying tonight. Write loop in the comments if your mind replays conversations after they end. Subscribe if this felt a little too specific. The next video opens up why emotionally intelligent people often feel responsible for everyone else's mood.